Hello friends, my name is Pinaki and welcome to my channel Fintech Logics. Today's topic is about retail lending process and specifically we'll talk about unsecured loan originations. So this video is an extension of my previous video on generic process flows. If you have not seen that video, I would give the link here. The key takeaways from this session would be the origination process and who are the key players in this origination process flow. So let's begin. Now, looking at the process, if you would remember, we would start with the basic process of lead generation. So we are talking about lead generation here. So lead generation, as we talked about in previous videos, this is about getting uh, leads or getting your probable customer data from different sources. It might be internal sources, as in your old customer base, or it might be fresh set of customers uh, got from different third party agencies, right? So we would uh, create the leads in a system with some level of shortlisting, looking at our product line offerings. We create a lead database, right? So this is the basic lead generation process where we would have minimum details about customer, like your name, email ID, phone number, um, some specific socio-economic data, etc. That is lead generation. From lead generation, we move to the next step of prospect communication. After we shortlist all our leads, we do a communication and we try to gather additional information, mm, their need for any specific products which are offered, and we go on enriching the lead data, and we call them as prospects. So we do our prospect communication, may it be in form of emails or even phone calls. As we get additional information, we do a quick data entry, uh, just some specific details about their socioeconomic information or product need, etc. And then we would ask for any kind of customer consent so that we can proceed with the further processing, right? As we get customer consent, uh, we ask for uh, third party data enrichment. So, wherein we have, or financial services would have tied up with a lot of agencies to collect third party data. Uh, uh, we also gather different documents. So, may it be physical documents regarding their identity proof, address proof, or may it be their bank information, may it be their employer information, etc., their business information, all that under this document collection. There would be a customer verification done on the collected data. So we do different kinds of customer verification, like we'll seek identity and address check, right? May it be through Aadhaar verification or any socioeconomic indicator can be taken, social security number, etc. in US, etc. are taken for identity address checks. Eligibility checks. So basic eligibility checks, looking at the initial level of data about the product fitment, any specific product lines, any limits that can be offered, eligibility check. There is a bureau check which is done. So bureau check, as in there are different bureaus like your Sibyl or Experian, that those can be integrated to collect data about how the customer's behavior pattern over the years. And then there can be banking checks. So banking checks would be for a serviced account, an active account at this point of time. And if there are no frauds, etc., are linked with the banks, because normally banks maintain the data and we can do these banking checks using that data. So now one thing that comes handy here is what we looked at our initial discussions about account information, service provider details, right? So there has been multiple developments nowadays to facilitate account information gathering through third parties, right? Definitely, of course, with customer consent. Now, once customer verification is successful and we say that the customer is eligible for our product offerings, what he has asked for, offer is generated. So, if it is a personal loan, then your eligibility is, let's say, 5 lakhs or 5 million. With uh, this is the basic product that we can offer for, let's say, 3 years of personal loans with this much of interest rate, right? And with repayment schedule of, let's say, 3 years, payable this amount, right? So that those all those part come as part of this offer. This offer is being communicated to the customer based on negotiation. Sometimes we may need to do a regeneration of offer. That's what I've highlighted here, that okay, you do offer generation and regeneration. There might be multiple times repetition here. As the offer is being accepted by the borrower, we proceed for our detailed data entry. So, wherein we collect all additional piece of information like your employer details, your bank statements, etc., can be collected. Most of these things would have been collected in our customer verification before giving the offer. But if any additional details are required, those can be captured as part of your detailed data entry. At this point of time, for collection of repayments, we do a bank integration. You would have heard about mandate setup, automated mandate setup to facilitate payments, or it might be wallet integration. So all those are part of this bank integrations that is being done. If there are any fraud checks required based on specific set of customers, let's say business customer, for their association with other third parties, or it may be business information for looking at uh, any fraud details, any fraud association, any fraud movement of theirs in the past. So we do fraud checks. All these things, as are cleared, we move towards a customer creation where official customer ID is created in our system. And we also do a risk and limit setup. So, risk and limit setup are basically very essential part of any credit process, wherein if a customer is specifically a first time customer, we create a risk record and maintain it thereafter. If a customer is an existing customer, we also maintain, there would be some pre-existing limits. Those are being updated by the new credit which is being offered right now, right? So all these risk and limit setup is done. Once your customer creation and risk and limit setup is done, we move towards creation of a customer contract, right? We do a CRM or a service, customer service setup, so that it can be facilitated in case of any issues of customer much before even the disbursement, and even the repayment setup. So the customer would have agreed or specific uh, repayment schedules, that okay, I'll pay by by mandates, or I'll pay by wallets. All that is being set up. So that comes under a repayment setup. uh, the contract would, as part of contract generation, the customer is also communicated with the customer contract. So wherein we take help of um, uh, cost, either a third party or physical contract signing to take a contract acceptance. Once the contract is accepted by the borrower, uh, there happens disbursement. That means money is sent either to customer's account in case of personal loans, or it is sent to merchant accounts, or even real estate developers, or even trusts, or even different pays as well, right? So disbursement is made. As the disbursement is completed, actually this hits our general ledger, and we move the loan account. The term specifically I'm using is loan account, because at this point of time, account is created. after creation of a customer contract, and it moves to your loan servicing for day-to-day servicing. Now I'll cover about loan servicing in a subsequent video to keep the video small. Well, that is also a very elongated process with multiple stages till the loan maturity, right? So we move it to loan servicing. So this part comes under origination, and after this, actually, our loan servicing starts. Now, in this process, if you see, there are different parties or different stakeholders who are involved. Needless to say that we have borrower as the central entity and beneficiary, either the borrower himself in case of personal loan or other parties to whom the payment has to be made. The lender is who is facilitating the loan. So in case now you would hear about a term very frequently called as LSP, that is loan service provider. So who has actually got along the borrower's information and facilitated the loan to the borrower. Sometimes we have co-lenders involved. So one lender does not give all the funding to a borrower. It might be for risk prospect. It might be if the if the loan exposure is quite high. So in that case, co-lenders get involved. So both lender and co-lender facilitate the funds flow to borrower, right? So they give the lending. Now, as we talked about credit bureaus, as part of this third-party data enrichment, we got this credit bureau data. Identity information provider, it might be Aadhaar or social security number authorities who provide the identity information. Financial data providers are basically your annual statement providers. That means in case of banks or some cases, even cash flows are taken into consideration from for business entities. Some cases, even employers provide financial data like your salary information, etc. And there might be other data providers, as we're talking about that. Okay, your social security data or your fraud data, sometimes your geolocation data, your mobile device data, right? So all these come under this other data providers. Now, to facilitate, we normally the lenders had partnership with FLDG, that means first loss default guarantee players. So wherein if your loan is not paid, they encounter with any fraud cases, FLDG are the players who actually compensate for those losses. Or you may simply call them as insurers for this loan. If anything goes wrong, then insurers also bear some or full part of the risk, right? So FLDG and insurers are very critical players in lending. So we'll talk about the details in some further video, how there has been a balance between this FLDG insurer and the co-lender, which is being brought forth by RBI in India these days, and that is very essential to understand FLDG and co-lender, how the balance is happening these days. Now, payment facilitator are required for facilitating both outward and inward payments. So when I call about outward payments, that is disbursement, that okay, you would have tied up with payment facilitators for RTGS payment if you want to, let's say, facilitate payments within, let's say, same day payments, right? So RTGS payments, or in case of NEFT payments, which is above 2 lakhs, let's say in India, just to give an example, you should have facilitated by a payment provider. Um, Now, next one is other third parties who provide right from your hunter or other fraud data providers to facilitators of your customers' full social economic data, right? So other third parties are involved. And finally, the tech ecosystem. So this is a very critical part where we see the systems very simply. But let's say a customer is taking a loan through a mobile app uh, uh, or through web channel. The data is coming. You are having an internal system to maintain or create these originations, move it to loan servicing. Later, you'll do a loan secondary sales. You will do proper accounting from this tech system, credit bureau notification has to also go every month. So a very complex tech ecosystem is also required, which basically uh, acts like a bridge between all these stakeholders to facilitate lending in a seamless manner, right? So this is basically the loan origination that happens. Now, in one of my further video, when I extend this, I would also talk about the modern day changes of digital lending, where I'll talk specifically about each of these area, how digitization has changed the game and made the turnaround time quite less, with much efficacy in risk management as well. So that I will cover in one of the further videos. I hope this video is being able to create in your mind a basic process flow about the origination. Um, and as we extend to further complex details, you'll be able to correlate this much easily. Uh, so this was what I wanted to cover. Please do like, share, and subscribe. If you have any further clarification or if you need details about any of these process, please let me know in comments, and I would definitely make one more detailed level video in each of the element, whatever you would need. Okay, friends, thanks a lot for watching my video. Bye.